Good morning and welcome to the market forecast. Today is Thursday, April 15th. Usually tax day, maybe not this year, but usually this is the day all the income taxes are due. My name is John Hoagland. Thanks for trusting me with your time. Hoping for good context, risk management, and patience for you in your trading today. All of you that were able to attend the coaching session yesterday and the market therapy session, we hope you found it useful. Always enjoy doing those, and of course, it's all for you. We are looking forward to your success. This morning, the jobless numbers came out as usual on Thursday. Little mixed numbers here. Initial jobless claims were much lower than expected, which is good, with a slight adjustment to last week's number to the upside. The continuing jobless claims were higher than expected, with a reduction in the number of last week's continuing jobless claims. We also had Philly Fed came out better than expected by a long shot. Markets are currently digesting all this information, as well as retail sales came out a lot stronger than expected. So some good news, some mixed news as far as employment is going. We're still waiting for industrial production at 8:15 Central this morning, 9 o'clock. Business inventories and housing market index due out, and 9:30, of course, on Thursday. The nat gas numbers due out. A packed economic calendar for us today. There's even a few talking feds throughout the session. Earnings today, U.S. indices kind of recovering the downside move from yesterday. We haven't seen a down day in quite a while. Recovering yesterday's losses as we speak. Looking at the earnings this morning: United Healthcare, Bank of America, PepsiCo, Citicorp, U.S. Bancorp. Last I saw, the ones that were already out had beat expectations. We're looking for Alcoa and J.B. Hunt after the close. Really just on the front edge of earnings season so far this week. As far as demand for oil and the drop in inventory, pushed prices higher a little bit yesterday to a new area of potential balance, or maybe even a new leg higher. I'm going to get my tank filled early this weekend. Make sure you like, share, comment, question, feedback, and heckling are always welcome. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notifications when we do go live. Looking through the VIX, the dollar index, and the 10-year yield a few minutes ago, VIX down about another 2% this morning, down at 1665 last I looked. Dollar index slightly lower, continuing to slide off its recent high, down at 91.60, and the yield for the 10-year about steady at 1.6%. As always, I gotta say good morning to my peeps. Joseph and Selmo, first one at the top of the list. You win the prize, Joseph. We've got a little competition here. Brian D., my brother Rick, good morning. Nico, Will, Bill, Theo, good to see you. Ralph, good to see you. Vince, good to see you. Bill, excellent therapy session yesterday. Wish we could replay it. It'll be up on YouTube in the coming days, Bill. So you'll have that, so you can go check it out again. And I'm pleased that you found it so important and helpful. Troy, Trading Research. Keith, good morning. Former Vice President, good morning. The chef is in the room. Good morning, Mike. Rob, Juan. Hi, the market profile that you use is available in Tradevate tools. Yes, it is. I will show it to you this morning. Hang on one second. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Thought maybe I was having some sort of a streaming problem, but apparently it's all good. Going through the list here. Yeah, I'll show you that tool, Juan. I'll show you where to find it and how to, maybe a little bit of how to get it set up for yourself. Felix, good morning. Angelina, Shady Trader, thanks so much for the insight yesterday in group coaching. It is my pleasure, Shady. That's what I'm here for, and I'm pleased that you come and that you bring good questions and that you're finding them useful. That makes me happy. Chris, Nick, Richie, Andres, Jason, Edward, Ashton, and everyone. All right, good to see everyone again. we've got a few things to look at in these markets. Excuse me. The equities continue to keep pushing new highs. We've been talking about how the S&Ps are showing signs of an aging upside auction process. We left a kind of a poor low yesterday. We've just put in a new all-time high in the overnight session again here in the S&Ps. So we've got a lot of conflicting information. There's always going to be some sort of cognitive dissonance. There's always forces, always things that are saying it's going higher, always things that say it's going lower, and that's where the context comes in. Keeping an eye on with a consistent lens of context, using the same tools to look at that context every day, and then taking a look at what the market is telling you, and then it's a process of making hypotheses as to what might happen, recognizing when one of those hypotheses is coming true, and then trading to that hypothesis with your strategy. It's, of course, important to be able to put together good hypotheses and to be able to recognize when one of them is accurate and then to trade to that. So we're always rating what's most important in the current context. There's always going to be nuances, things saying go long, things saying go short. It's up to us to distinguish what's most important in the current context. Now, we've been seeing in the S&Ps, we've been moving higher over time for, well, seemingly forever, but in the short time frame, we've had a pretty big move to the upside. There's bound to be some longs that are sitting in that market with some pretty hefty profits. And as we get closer to the end of the week, it makes me think, okay, if I'm one of those guys that's been long for 2 weeks and I've been sitting there and just raking in the cash, when am I going to start to maybe take a little profits on that? And I thought maybe we would see it yesterday. We're going to see it in the charts, and when we see the S&Ps, we didn't really see any long liquidation yesterday. As a matter of fact, we saw new shorts coming into the market. Let's get into the charts right now and see what we're looking at. Let me get this over here, and let's dive in. As always, I start with the daily in crude oil, just going from left to right. So here it is. The market is rolling over today. This morning, the volume was still greater in the May contract. I'm going to switch to June tomorrow. Either contract is fine to trade today. There is a 6-cent premium in the June over May, so it's not going to change really any of my levels or zones. Just choosing to stay in this one today. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at the June contract, as I'm sure the volume will be greater tomorrow morning in the June contract. So overall volume yesterday was pretty big. You're not going to see it in your daily chart because this is the expiring product. Okay, June, you're going to see probably at some point today the volume is going to usurp the May contract, again, it's still okay to trade either one today. I'll be again trading June tomorrow, but overall, pretty big volume yesterday on this move to the upside. We closed above this trend line. We rallied and drove higher yesterday. We added 38,000 in open interest. Now, that is somewhat directional and probably somewhat related to rollover, but I'm looking at that as a pretty good sign that this move to the upside was a pretty healthy move, a potential market state break. As long as we hold above this weekly kickoff high level here, I think we're going to be looking to either fall into range in this area here, and if we can take that out, I think we may be looking for continuation moves to the upside. All depends on how this rollover goes, supply, demand. It's all those questions and all those contexts and measuring what's most important in the day time frame. So you've got new range, lots of space up above, open interest boost, part rollover again. Take a look at the 30-minute chart now. Okay, some pretty good digestion in the overnight session. Here's that weekly kickoff that was somewhat magnetic. We piled up a whole bunch of volume on that level yesterday as we decided whether we were going to go or whether we were going to adjust inventory to the long side or if we were going to fail and adjust inventory to the short side. Obviously, we see what happened yesterday. Settlement is all the way up here at 63.15. No real overnight inventory. We're in range, in value. It's going to suggest trying to stay patient, looking for better trade locations as the day goes on. Value low, overnight low, interesting areas. How about value high and the overnight high? A little bit of confluence in that. I'm going to try and, again, stay patient today and wait for probably the initial balance to establish itself and work those extremes. Initial balance being the first hour of trade. So, again, stay patient. Right in the middle of value from yesterday. Very little change last night in the perception of the value of a barrel of crude oil. S&Ps. These markets. They're so. What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? They're so difficult. They're so hard to read sometimes. But it's what just keeps me coming back is just being able to decipher all this information and make a decision. And a well thought out decision. It's always thinking about risk management is always top of the mind. So we had bigger volume on a down day yesterday. That's to be expected. In a situation like this, when we might be looking at a long liquidation, we might be thinking we'd lose open interest. When yesterday on the preliminary, we gained open interest of about 9,200 contracts. So that tells me we're starting to look at this line here as an opportunity for possible shorts and an opportunity for potential longs to stick their heels in the dirt and continue to try and push this thing higher. So, some of the things that we've been seeing a lot of potential. Excuse me. My apologies. I got a little thing going on here. I'm good now. We've been seeing some pretty good, potentially longer time frame buyers moving up to this level. When are we going to get too long? We talked about that yesterday. Like, when is the pullback going to come? When we stop thinking about it. It's always when everybody's all in one direction when the pullback comes. So again, an increase in open interest yesterday, smaller range. Looks like we're just going to continue to march this thing higher. These moving averages are now holding above price on the daily chart, the 9 session below the 13 session. And if these start to curl around and start to look lower, that might be information that is agreeing with the fact that we might be seeing this auction to the upside starting to get a little bit exhausted. We've got potential now for a balance to start to create here. We've got 1, 2, 3 days, mostly overlapping to higher, but somewhat range bound. We just put in another all-time high in the overnight session. Let's look at that on the 30-minute chart. There it is, our all-time high in the overnight session. Where are we going to be opening? What's our overnight inventory? Settlements all the way down here, 41.18 even. Lots of longs in this market in the overnight. Short time frame longs, weaker hands longs that aren't going to be holding these positions past the day time frame today. So when we open up, if we can't take out our overnight high, if we can't push this market higher in regular trading hours with the help of new business, new buyers, longer time frame buyers, whatever it is, all of these overnight longs might give us an opportunity to look for another long on a weakness. We're still looking at that. I'm starting to feel as though, however, we might be starting to think about looking to sell on strengths. But it's difficult because there's no reference really to manage our risk. So overnight high is going to be about it. If we open with a gap, that's going to be information. If we can't close the gap, we could continue this move to the upside. We are also looking at the fact that there was a little bit of a change in the marketplace yesterday, wasn't there? We opened, we rallied, we put in the new all-time high, and we broke. For the better part of the day, the market continued to digest and drive lower and then digest. A little bit of a change in the personality there. Not saying that we're all into the downside, but just noticing the nuances like that can help you make good trading decisions. The Overnight longs, all-time high in the overnight. Point of control seemingly a little bit magnetic last night. We just put in a new all-time high right before the regular trading hour open. This is going to be an interesting trading day. We still have some more economic information coming out in industrial production, business inventories, and housing market. Not necessarily hugely impactful numbers, but it just might be the tipping point to go one way or the other. What to do, what to do. Let's take a look now in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ had some pretty strong volume on the downside yesterday. It always does. Okay, was there a little bit of potential long liquidation up against our 14,000 weekly kickoff high, big fat round number? We did lose about 1,100 in open interest, so this was more likely a long liquidation event than the S&Ps were, and an addition of possible new shorts to the marketplace. We are certainly holding in a 3-day balance here. Again, all-time high yesterday did come in the overnight session. We all know that the market tends not to leave that. All-time highs and recent highs and lows tend to happen in regular trading hours because everybody is there to participate. Take a look at the 30-minute chart. Settlement all the way down here, 13,798.75. Put that on your charts. Value from yesterday. Overnight low, overnight high, just putting in our overnight high here. So it's going to be one of those days where we might be looking at some longs and short time frame, weaker hands longs. If we can't push the market higher, we may get a pushback to the downside. But we're really in, and again, kind of point of control, somewhat magnetic here. And we're still in range. We're still in value. It's telling me that I really want to try and stay patient. If I'm going to see if we're going to get a pullback towards settlement, I'm going to look for some sort of structure that I can lean on to limit my risk if this market does continue to go higher. So we're kind of in an area where it's going to be difficult to find risk limiters other than the overnight high where we are right now. So inside value always tells me to stay patient. Better trade locations are more likely to come when we open in range and in value. So there's a little bit of a difference in the NASDAQ to the S&Ps there. Gold. Everybody's favorite precious metal. We were talking about when we broke out above here and we were coming back into this area that this area was going to be somewhat sticky. It is proving to be somewhat sticky. We've got 1760, our weekly kickoff high. 1750 is going to be somewhat pivotal for us today. The island top we put in, that's no longer part of the equation. We've taken that out. Volume and open interest were pretty much moot yesterday. A little bit of loss in open interest. We added 1,600 on a down move, but in a range day that's not really going to be saying much. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Settlement all the way down here, 1736.30. We got a lot of longs in this market. We did not really necessarily, we were unable to hold the gap. We've got our overnight high right here, testing in the regular trading hour session to exactly the same level. This is not a strong high. I'm going to be looking for this market to probably take out this high, looking for more information to the upside. The market wasn't rejected up here. That's why we call this kind of a weak high. It's a double top, but it doesn't show signs of excess in the day time frame. So we're going to be looking to see if we get another opportunity to look at the market up here. I see a question. When you work the initial balance, do you fade or play the breakout? Vince, that's a really good question, and it's highly contextual. Again, if the market opens and let's say overall the bigger picture is that the market is moving higher, if we're near a low in the channel and we set up an initial balance and we break out the initial balance, it may tend to make me think that initial balance breakout might be more likely to continue. But most breakouts seem to fail. It seems like 65% of them fail. So I don't risk a lot on those breakouts if I'm going to be breaking out of an initial balance. It's a really great and important question, but it's something that we have to ask ourselves in context. Because one thing we know for sure is that the same thing is never going to happen twice in futures trading. So if I'm going to be doing a breakout, I'll if it's to the upside, I'll put a stop up there. If the stop gets filled, I'll be monitoring price action to see if I'm seeing a lot of eyeballs on it. I'm looking for breakouts to pay me quickly, and I don't like to hold on to them. I don't like to inventory breakout trades because I've been burned enough doing so. It's a great question. All right. Hang on a second here. All right, let's get through this, and then we'll see if I have some time to take a look at the uh, market profile on TS Trader. Just take a quick look here into the euro. Okay, so we had a breakout above weekly kickoff high Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday on some pretty good volume. We're still bringing in volume. This continuation move to the upside added 6,600 contracts. Now, we talked about this yesterday, that this level up here is going to be somewhat resistant. We've got a low here. We've got some consistent highs here. This is going to be kind of a sticky area for us. These highs are not necessarily considered strong because they're relatively equal. So it's going to be an interesting spot up here. Upside continuing. We kind of lost a little bit of volume yesterday, but that doesn't concern me as long as we see open interest continuing to come into this market. Weekly kickoff low, if given the opportunity, would be supportive for us today. Here's what we're looking at. We have settlement right here, 119.86. Overnight high, overnight low, basically enveloping the range from yesterday. No gap, no real overnight inventory, suggesting working the extremes. Again, this is what we're talking about, Vince. If we are looking at a market that is continuing to the upside, once this initial balance is established, we may look for reversion trades off the low against the low, because then we're going to be looking at an ability to limit our risk. And if we break out above the high of the initial balance, it's congruent with the direction of the overall marketplace, and that might be one of those opportunities where we may see continuation of a breakout above the initial balance. All right, take a look at the 10-year, and then we'll take a quick look at the profiles, and we'll get down to business. Volume has been waffling, good days, bad days. Looks like just kind of a general random walk as far as volume is concerned. We lost 1,100 in open interest yesterday. Not a very impactful number in a market that is this thick. Opening overnight range is kind of the top of a 5-day balance. We're kind of breaking out above that. We're seeing some buyers coming into this market, of course, as the rates continue to slip lower. We're going to see pricing moving higher. Settlement 131.29.5 out of 32. Got a pretty decent area of consolidation pre-open here. We took one look, closed the gap. The gap proved to be supportive. We're seeing this market continuing to the upside. I was looking at our overnight high as kind of a pivotal level, which is right here, and it did kind of prove to be that. We took a look, closed the gap. Once we got back above this level, we see the market starting to one-time frame higher. We've got some space above before we get to our weekly kickoff high, which is 132.19, which is right up about here. So we continue this move to the upside. I'm not going to be looking for shorts unless we can get up near that weekly kickoff high or find some sort of structure with which to lean on. All right, so let's take a look at the mini S&Ps here, because there's something in the profile here that I want to point out. So this is the market profile for TS Trader. It might take a minute here to bring itself up. Where are we here? course it's going to give me problems. Well, let's go to another one. I just want to kind of give an example of what it looks like. You can find it here if you go to add modules and click. Go to chart, not legacy chart. Go to chart and you can find your TPO charts there. So we'll go to there. Let's go ES, M, select. Here's your TPO. Doesn't seem to want to populate correctly here this morning for some reason. There we go. So here's what I was going to point out. Yesterday, this is yesterday's session, put in the new all-time high. We left a kind of a poor low here. There's no rejection down here. So if we can't continue this move to the upside, this would be an area that that price might target. So again, you go here, don't go to legacy chart, go to chart, and you can choose TPO chart right here. And then once you do that, you're going to probably want to adjust some of the information here. You're going to be able to change the colors of the letters. You can choose, single TPOs for one TPO per tick. I usually take off the auto scale. And then you can change some of the colors too of your value area, points of control. Are they extended? There's a whole list of things that you can add here. And if you have further questions, of course, I'm always going to try and answer them here in the forecast. But to get a little bit deeper, come to the group coaching next week, and we can get a lot deeper into how to get those set up for yourself. Okay? Group coaching is recorded anywhere. We're working on trying to get to increase the availability for people to see them after they are already done, and we're working on that. It's recorded, but I don't have any place to put it right now. And we will let you know when we get some sort of resolution to that. Okay. Morning. Initial balance. Good morning, JD. Dan D. Starting off the day with this channel always puts me in a great trading mood. Hogue 2024. Well, I appreciate that, Dan D. And that makes me happy as well. Former vice president is saying, I get my market context from the 60-minute, 20-period trend or lack and overnight cumulative volume. It has been pretty consistently given me a great handle to play the day. Is this solid? Well, I think you answered your question right there. If that is a consistent lens that you're using that is providing good opportunities for you, it's solid. It's solid. There's nothing that's right or wrong and nothing that's going to work every time in futures trading. So it's all a matter of just, understanding context, being creative enough to accept information that may be contrary to what you think of the market. It's always trading about what you see, because these markets are telling us what they are attempting to do. It's up to us to recognize and respond to it. All right. So, we've got 30 seconds, I think, till the equity open. Take your deep breath. Get out there and profit today. Trade well. Say a prayer for us all, and say a prayer for peace for everybody. PBJ, it starts at 8 o'clock. Welcome. Glad that you're here. If you missed part of it, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's going to be Friday, and back at 8 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be looking forward to seeing you here. Trade well, everyone.